far be it from me to tell you guys the way the world is. So I'll just tell you how the world could be. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with, well, what can I call this? I mean, I could straight up call this, hey, I haven't pissed you guys off in a while. I could call this, hey, I never did my Sasha Banks ramble, so I'll give you guys this instead. I'm really just here to have a conversation with you guys. I know I come off as a dick, and if I come off as a dick in this, then I really don't apologize, because this has been some material for a while. This has been some conversations on social media for a while. This has been some talking to everybody that thinks they know the way the world works for a while now. Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, has left WWE. Or has he? Now, if you watch What Culture, you see Adam Wilborn. He's got the pasty bet with the rest of everybody in there that it is indeed a work. There's other people that have been like, well, this is really like Ambrose is gone. You know, it really sucks that he's gone, but you know, it's really weird that this happened, or it's really weird that that happened. I mean, but you know, maybe the wrestling world's just changing. Maybe we don't know as much as we think we do, and all that sort of thing. But the idea, especially the indie fans, the idea that this could be a work, that this could be something really cool, really different, really, I mean, if what I'm about to say is true, it's probably a bit groundbreaking. The idea that WWE could do something that cool is offensive to them, because they really want this to be one of their victories. We really want. It's not even that they're specifically an ROH fan or an IWGP fan or a TNA fan, if those still exist, or an AEW t-shirt wrestling company fan. It's just that they are a fan of not WWE. If you are not WWE, these people are a fan of you. That's basically it. I could start a wrestling company tomorrow, and I mean, I might have to change my name so that people wouldn't know it was me, but I could start a wrestling company tomorrow, and people would like me. At the very least, hey, you know, Spaz Phoenix Wrestling, at least it's not WWE. They really want this victory. They really want this former WWE champion has just left WWE, and that's fine. He probably has. Let's be real for a second. But anybody that leaves, or anybody that you hear about leaving, could end up staying. See The Revival, for example. But this case, if you suggested even in the slightest that it could be a work, people are living through the caps lock on their Twitter. Anybody that follows me on Twitter knows that I had quite a banter back and forth, and I just said, you know, here's something that doesn't make sense, here's something that doesn't make sense, here's something that doesn't make sense. And somebody, I'm not going to mention them by name because I'm not here to call anybody out, but the caps lock response, the visceral, I need this, or we need this, or this particular group of fans needs this, was palpable, and it was real, and it just made me think, the more these people grip it, it's like the wet bar of soap. The more they want to grip it, the more they probably think it's going to pop out of their hands. And I thought, why? And then I started thinking about all the things that didn't make sense. And I'm not here, as I say, once again, I am not here to tell you, even though I might make it as a joke title of the video, probably will, because I'm that kind of asshole. I'm not here to tell you for a fact, hey, I talked to Jonathan Good this morning, and I know for a fact it's a work, and I know for a fact he's staying with WWE, and you guys are all getting fucking worked, and you're all idiots. I'm not doing any of that. I'm really not. This is just a little bit of fun for me. This is me telling you guys, if I was to put myself in the shoes of somebody that did definitely believe it was a work, and definitely was going to carve it in stone, hey, I said on this day that, you know, Ambrose is staying in the WWE. If I wanted to make that case, if I was going to stand on that hill, if I was going to mount that pedestal and say Dean Ambrose leaving WWE is a work, why would I say it's a work? If it's a work, this is why. So I've broken this basically down into 3 separate parts. And Dean Ambrose is a work, breaks down into the departure, the video, and the theory. Now, these are all things that we've seen so far. My theory is my theory. My theory is just me brainstorming and nothing else. Let me be clear on that. The rest of it is just stuff we've been given and just stuff that we know. So, I'm not asking you to say that I'm right. I'm not asking you to agree with me or believe me or even say that I have the slightest hint of knowing what I am talking about, because I'm not backstage. I'm not somebody up here on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever that's going to say I know what's happening backstage. I definitely do not know what's going on backstage. You know what I know? I know what's going on that camera right now because I'm doing it. I know what goes on my Twitter account because I'm the one writing. Same thing with Facebook. I know what's going on Instagram because I've taken those photos. I know what goes on my TV because I turned it on and that's what I saw. That is what I know. Most people online would love to tell you that this is the only thing that makes sense, and because I know this and I know the way the business works. I'll be the first one to tell you guys, WWE makes a lot of mistakes. I have no idea what actually happens backstage. And unlike most YouTubers, I will actually come up here and admit to you that I have no idea what goes on backstage. Sasha Banks, for all I know, could be drinking tea or sipping vodka with Vince McMahon, laughing at all of us because her throwing a temper tantrum in the back and having a cry on the floor was a work. You don't know these things. I mean, realistically speaking. But I will say, for those of you that are anti-WWE, most of my points in this when I start are based on what you guys have created. You guys have created in your head your own version, your own image of the big bad guy that is WWE, the big bad guy that is Vince McMahon, the big bad guy that is the absolute WWE corporate machine. You know the one I'm talking about. The version of WWE that, you know, has never had a black champion, even though they have. Mark Henry and Booker T would like a word. The version of WWE that doesn't know how to treat their women properly, except, you know, they just main evented WrestleMania and they have more going for them than a lot of the guys do. The version of WWE that, you know, never treats your indie guys properly, except we're getting Rollins versus Styles at Money in the Bank, and that's not good enough. That WWE, that fictitious bad guy, villainous WWE that you guys have created is what I am basing my theory on. So let's go. First of all, the departure. The departure of Dean Ambrose. How many months ago did they write him a very nice little thing on WWE.com? It wasn't the you know, Jonathan Good has left, you know, mutually separated from the company. We wish him well in his future endeavors, which, you know, is followed with a lot of sarcasm and a kick in the ass. No, we regret to inform all of you that his contract is coming up in a couple of months. First of all, right there, why would WWE, if they're such bad guys, if they're really getting rid of this guy, why would they give you that in advance? Why would they tell you in advance? Why would they give you that bulk of time to soak up every Ambrose minute you get and make him ultimately more important in your minds if he was leaving? Because we always say, especially when somebody passes away, which is a really morbid comparison, we always say when somebody is passing away or leaving or retiring or whatever, that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Would they not then make you appreciate him 10 times more, or maybe embellish his value in your mind as a performer and as a person by telling you so far in advance that he was leaving? Why would they do him that favor? Why would big bad WWE that never does anything nice for anybody, why would they want to make him look so good on his way out? Because realistically, a company should not be building up a property that could potentially be picked up by another company. Coke would not tell you how awesome the Coke vanilla recipe is if they were about to sell it to Pepsi, would they? No, they'd downplay it and they'd tell you how great the original Coke is and how much, you know, Coke vanilla was a big mistake on their part and they're happy to be rid of it, would they not? The focus and the spotlight and the platform that Dean Ambrose was given, how many last time ever matches, how much focus did they put on him in matches? I mean, who they consider to be main eventers on Raw is a bit questionable, but in their mind, McIntyre and Lashley and Corbin and, you know, the McMahons themselves to a certain degree, keeping him with Roman, keeping him with Seth, who are the main babyfaces. He was in the main event picture up until the very, very end. Why would they almost reestablish him as a main event level talent on his way out the door? Typically, if you were leaving, you go out on your back. I mean, granted, he got his ass handed to him by Lashley, But I mean, other than that, he went out on a high horse. He went out on a high horse as part of, you know, one of the most successful stables in WWE. Now, we will all say, second, third, fourth time around, well, the Shield isn't really anything special. It's just a vehicle for Roman Reigns, and there's some truth to that. But the Shield is also, if you look around the merch, look around, you know, especially, I mean, we don't like to say this, but look at the kids in the audience, look at the ladies in the audience that love the Shield, look at some of the guys as well that are like, you know, Roman Reigns is tolerable when we put him in the Shield. We like Rollins, but, you know, get the band back together. They gave him a huge, huge platform. And why would they do that on the way out? If you are, as I say, it's been a tradition in wrestling as long as anybody can imagine. It's a tradition in wrestling as much as, you know, paying your dues, like somebody like a Leo Rush doesn't realize pretty much recently. But you go out on your back. If you know you are leaving, you go out on your back. You do not go out as part of a main event, as part of your own Shield special. It's not only the last ride of the Shield, which they did 3 or 4 times. They did it at a pay-per-view, they did it on Raw, and then they did it in their own WWE Network special. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know it wasn't meant to be a pay-per-view. I know they just took some cameras to whatever the last house show was. I get that. But it's still a worldwide platform where he went out on top with his boys, you know, as I say, one of the most successful stables of the modern era if you don't want to look at NXT. But not even that. Even when he's not on camera, what are they doing? They're filling WWE.com with storyline, with kayfabe, with, you know, backstage interviews, you know, interviewing Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Hey, do you think you can convince your brother to come back? You know, he's still your brother. Brothers don't, you know, ditch out on each other. Rah. Even as far as to their last special, you had Roman Reigns saying, you know what, guys, I'm going to try this one more time. I'm doing my best to get him back, rah. And the constant, and yes, I agree that it is absolutely grating. I like Renee Young. I like Corey Graves. But the constant grating conversation with Renee Young on commentary about, you know, all of a sudden, you know, dropping the entire veil, dropping the entire fourth wall, about her being married to Ambrose. You know, why would Ambrose be such a constant flavor of the Monday Night Raw broadcast if he was leaving? Would you not want to talk about him as little as possible? Would you not want to downplay him? Would you not, I mean, I'm not saying you necessarily insult him, but would you not, you know, WWE, they're going to kick you in the ass on the way out the door because they're such assholes. Would they not downplay him? Would they not, you know, tell him to ride it out in catering? Would they not take every opportunity to focus on anything else but this guy that's leaving? Why would you put such a spotlight on some guy that's clearly flipping you the bird and telling you to go fuck yourself, and I'm leaving, I'm definitely leaving, rah. Why would they do any of that for a guy that's leaving? That is not the send-off that we have seen for, and unless they're retiring. Unless they are retiring, unless you're somebody like a Ric Flair who, you know, did the kayfabe retirement angle at WrestleMania and had the appreciation night the next night. Unless you're somebody like Edge who gets the chance and the proper fanfare to come out and say, look, I'm injured, I'm retiring, and respectful and all that sort of thing. When Daniel Bryan, we thought was done, they gave him the same thing. But if you are just, you know, taking your ball and going home, essentially, which is what a lot of people are doing right now, why would they thank you for that? Why would they reward you for that if it was real? That's all I'm going to say. The departure doesn't make any sense. But I see you. I see you in the comment section. I see you on Twitter. But what about the video on Twitter? Let me tell you about the video. That's a pretty damn good video, isn't it? It's a pretty damn good video. It's good quality, probably pretty expensive, and I'm not going to deny that Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, has made himself, you know, a pretty damn decent career. He's a big name. He's probably, you know, done something responsible with a lot of that money, even if he had the bank to do it. Why would you spend all that bank on a video of yourself like that? Why would you drop that big a chunk of change if you're just about to leave the big paycheck, if you're just about to leave your big financial source? If we're to believe that you're taking your ball, going home, walking off into the sunset, gunslinger, heading out into the west, why would you drop that much money? You wouldn't, unless it was somebody else's money. Also, I don't know much about video editing. You guys know this. My videos are as basic as they can be, but videos are time consuming. Video, the amount of video and take and retake and adding effects and taking away effects and all this, all that, all the next thing would have been very time consuming. He didn't whip that up in the first 5 minutes that his contract expired, and as to my knowledge, unless anybody wants to correct me down in the box below, and you guys know me, you know if you got a correction for me, you want to throw it down in the box below and it's concrete, I will throw hands up in the air and I will say, okay, cool, I looked into what you told me, maybe I'm an idiot. But there is no way that in the first 5 minutes of him being uncontracted, he whipped that video up together himself, did he? Now, that's fine. He could have done it before. He could have done it in preamble. He could have done it in, what's the word I'm looking for? He could have done it in readiness of that countdown, of that final countdown. Now I got the song The Final Countdown stuck in my head. But that countdown to midnight where he's no longer contractually employed. But that would have been a project. And what do people say about big bad WWE? Jericho said it. Jericho said they tried to infringe on his touring thing. Ziggler has gone out on record and said that, you know, when he started doing his comedy thing, they really tried to infringe on that outbound project. You know, CM Punk wanted to be part of the WWE film so that he could get some time off, and they told him he wasn't going to be able to do that project. He wanted to walk, you know, somebody to the ring. Basically, anybody that's got their own project, big bad WWE, you're told, will not let you do it. You think WWE's going to give him enough time to put this shit together? No. So your biggest piece of proof against it being a work is one of my biggest pieces of proof for it being a work. Now, what do I say further to that? Because it was released after his contract expired on the midnight of whatever day that was. And I will say, as I say, the video looks cool. The video looks, you know, he knows what he's doing. It's all cool, you know, the barbed wire and the blood and whatever, and we'll get to that. Don't you worry. But what else did WWE? As soon as he dropped that video, what did WWE do? Big, bad, evil corporation WWE. Didn't they go around and they stole everybody's Twitter passwords and they stole everybody's Twitter logins? And it's all very Machiavellian, isn't it? Because he took his WWE established Twitter and changed it over to Jon Moxley and kept all the followers that he had accrued under a WWE banner. And let's be real. Let's be absolutely real for a second. I like Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, Jonathan Good, whatever you want to call him. I like him. He was probably underutilized in WWE. I'll give him that. But I like him. There's not nearly as many people that would know who he is if he had never fallen under the WWE banner. So the amount of people that saw that video at midnight on D-Day, whatever you want to say, is because of his presence on the WWE platform. You cannot deny that. You really, really can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. But what did they do? Supposedly, if you follow the dirt sheets and if you follow all the conspiracy theorists and whatever, big bad WWE, they went around and they stole everybody else's Twitters. They went around and they stole everybody else's passwords, etc. for their caricature accounts. Now, people say that that's terrible. Again, these are the accounts of their WWE created characters. So basically, these are the accounts for the characters that WWE has given them, the platform they have given them. There's an argument that could be made that WWE should own those Twitter things. If you're on Twitter as Seth Rollins, why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? If you're online as Dean Ambrose, if you're online as Seth Rollins, as Roman Reigns, as Sasha Banks, even though she's crying in the corner somewhere, as Lio Rush, as Naomi, as whoever, you are there, you're basically working, or you should be. To the best of my knowledge, people do have private accounts outside of WWE, and those have not been infringed on in the slightest. Now, big bad Machiavellian WWE, big bad Thanos level gauntlet swinging WWE that doesn't let anybody do anything or say anything or tweet anything or move or breathe, and took over everybody's social media accounts like the big bad bastards that they are. So why is Seth Rollins liking and sharing and retweeting the Jon Moxley video? Again, your biggest shot at WWE is my biggest point of proof that it could be a work. Now, how is it a work? Why is it a work? He doesn't work there anymore. His contract is up. So why would WWE do this? Why would he do this? What kind of work could there possibly be between Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, Jonathan Good, and the WWE? Who benefits, why benefits, where benefits, and how benefits? WWE has a problem, I will admit that. Problem is, usually schlepped off on the fact that they're PG, but the bottom line is they can't grab anybody's attention. They can't do anything creatively. They can't get a visceral response from people. And part of that is because of the PG, because of the limitations of PG. You know, we have to say poopy instead of telling somebody to go fuck themselves, and you can't blade, and you can't do this and that and the next thing. But you know who can do that? Somebody who's not in WWE. So I posit to you, what if the entire ending of his contract is a staging? What if, for all intents and purposes, Dean Ambrose is a free agent, but a free agent still with one hand shaking Vince McMahon's hand in the back room? Now, WWE gives him the money to do the video, whatever. Tells him, do whatever you want, because you're not going to be associated with us. Do whatever you want, get as blood and guts and gory and profane as you want, because none of this is ever going to be associated with WWE. And they play it up, and they let him go out and get the attention his way. Now, the prime example I have of this, and it's not very good anymore because he is in WWE and they're still not using him properly. My prime example of this is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came in as the chosen one, was a little bit nerdy, a little bit goofy, had some good tag team runs with Cody, Don't Call Me Rhodes, but he fizzled out. He eventually became part of 3MB. They ruined him, kind of like people say people have ruined Ambrose these days. He fucked off. He basically went around the indies. I know he was in What Culture Pro Wrestling. I definitely know that when I was still watching TNA, he was in TNA, and he was the guy that was going to save wrestling for the fans and all that sort of thing. And it was the cocoon beginnings of what we see of Drew McIntyre now. He went out and he did things and he said things and he developed himself in such ways that when he came back to WWE, he was a huge asset. And I'm sorry, like, if you go back and see some of his promos, I mean, he wasn't telling everybody to fuck off 24/7, but I mean, there was some stuff. Basically, he got to do the popular thing. He got to go to TNA and shit on WWE. Now, take this to a Dean Ambrose perspective. Dean Ambrose, or Jon Moxley, I don't know much of Jon Moxley from CZW, but I hear, you know, he's not a stranger to thumbtacks or barbed wire or blood and whatever. All these things that you can't do within WWE. Just like with McIntyre, you can't be anti-WWE within WWE. That's why half of the indie promotions out there have a following. I said it at the beginning of this video. As long as you're not WWE, we will cheer for you. So this thing sent people into a fury. This thing, with the WWE built backing that Dean Ambrose's social media has, it went viral in minutes. That audience that was built on a WWE platform sent this viral. Oh my God, look at this guy. We've got a victory. Look at this guy telling WWE to go fuck themselves and rah-rah-rah-rah. But what if he's still getting paid somehow? I don't know how. I don't know how business works. I'm not a business guy. Either they gave him a lump sum before he left WWE. They are planning to hold in reserve a lump sum for him when he makes his return, or shows that this has been a work all the time. Or think about this. If Ambrose isn't getting a paycheck from WWE, how do you slip Ambrose money into his household? Happens to be that there's somebody else in his household that still works for WWE. What if they just slip him his money via Renee Young's paycheck? What if Renee Young's paycheck mysteriously doubles until Ambrose is back? Let's get all the hype. Let's get all the videos. Let's throw in all the symbols. And that's the next thing. That's the next greatest thing. All the symbols that people cheer for because they're anti-WWE. They're anti-WWE. What if all those anti-WWE messages came from WWE? Now, you can't blame WWE, the stockholders, the shareholders, the parents that, you know, want their kid to watch a PG product. Can't blame WWE for this, because on paper, Dean Ambrose ain't on the roster. He ain't on the payroll. He's getting that money some other kind of way. But that's why he can do the barbed wire and the blood and the cursing and all the symbolism and rah. What if it's an anti-WWE video produced by WWE? Everything WWE knows we hate about them. Because here's the thing. WWE is stubborn. WWE are pig-headed. WWE are flat out wrong sometimes. But they're not stupid. They know exactly what we hate. Look at the night after WrestleMania when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. To send that guy out there to get booed for 7 minutes straight in the opening segment of the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, and to have the only thing that came out of his mouth were the disrespectful words to The Undertaker, "This is my yard now." You know, you thought you were telling WWE to go fuck themselves, but you were feeding WWE in that moment. I was feeding WWE in that moment because I was like, you know what? Good job, WWE. You didn't even try to make him a babyface. You fed into the hate that you knew we had for that character. Now, take that onto a larger scale. Let WWE feed into the hate that we have for them by mocking themselves. Oh, we've got some dogs in there. That's a symbol for Roman Reigns. Ambrose is telling Roman Reigns to go fuck himself. Da, 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 da. He's escaping from the prison that is WWE. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? They have you on a hook. They have you on a hook that says anything that's not WWE, anything that's saying anything bad about WWE, we're going to cheer for, even if it ends up that it came from the WWE. Now, I see people, they're still typing on Twitter, but what about all the clues? What about all the AEW symbols? What about the dice, etc.? Do you not think that WWE is paying attention to what's going on? I mean, let's be real. It wouldn't be the first shot that WWE took at AEW. Look at the DX induction speech at the WWE Hall of Fame. If that wasn't them bringing Billy Gunn back so that he could be the personification of AEW and Triple H could kick Billy Gunn, aka AEW's nuts, in the middle of the big WWE produced Hall of Fame, they're not above it. They're just not. The amount of times that they've talked about being all in on something, the amount of times that they've made reference to and then quickly pulled back from recreating the club, etc. It would not be the first time. It really, really wouldn't. And the whole bait and switch thing. Oh, we're going to bait them into thinking he's going to Double or Nothing when really he's coming back and he's going to show up at Money in the Bank or some shit. Bait and switch. WWE's never done a bait and switch before. Remember that big bad monster Brodus Clay we were supposed to get? How did that go? Remember when we thought that they were going to repackage Emma as some random ass Barbie swimsuit model? Took it right back. They're not above a bait and switch, and they're not above a bait and switch that's a big middle finger to the t-shirt wrestling company known as AEW. But what about the name? What about the misdirection? What about this? He's not Ambrose anymore. He said goodbye to that name. He's Jon Moxley now. Okay. One of two things. A, that's a misdirect where, yeah, because coming off the Superstar shakeup, WWE never changes a name. I mean, just ask the Viking Experience, War Raiders of Darkness, Legion of Doom 2.0. Fuck me. So, grand old misdirect. Or, WWE thinks that using something as simple as a name change on Dean Ambrose could be enough of a rebirth for him. And if he's willing to come in and use the name that he built on the indies that brought all that extra imagery, all that extra hardcore intensity, etc., if he's willing to use that name, which is probably his own property, why wouldn't they do it? Why wouldn't Ambrose do it? Why wouldn't Moxley do it? Because if he owns that name, he could bring, and they let him bring that into WWE, guess what? Everybody wins. They think it's a brand new character. They think it's a big rebirth for him. He probably gets shot to the moon, and if he owns that name, he gets a bigger chunk of the pie when he starts selling Moxley merchandise on the WWE shop platform. If he owns the name, he gets to take all the oh my god. Everybody fucking wins. Even if it's not, even if it's just a simple misdirect, even if they show the big Moxley video on the Titantron and then 5 seconds later the old music hits, the old name comes up on the Titantron and everybody just flips you a big fuck you. Everybody. And here's the thing, the blood and the barbed wire, like I said, if he did that, if he went out there and did all the not WWE things to then turn around and make it work for his own WWE career, good for fucking him. Good for WWE, good for him. And you know why? The biggest, best, and I'm spitting out my words now, I'm really sorry about that. The biggest and best reason why this will work is because of you guys. All of you. that desperately want to know that this is real. All of you that vehemently came at me with your caps lock flaring, telling me how wrong I am about it being a work, or even potentially being a work, or even there's a little string out there that might think it's a work. You couldn't even take that. All of you that leapt on and vultured on and leeched onto that video because you're so desperate to say anything is great because it's against WWE, are the same ones that are gonna piss and shit your pants and set your boxers on fire if I'm right. If I'm right, you guys will blow up social media. You guys will blow up YouTube. You guys will blow up Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and every other thing. You'll create brand new platforms. There'll be Twitch 2 and Dailymotion 5, and you guys will set the internet on fire, and you will set it on fire because you're so angry that you're wrong. And you know who will benefit from that? Who will benefit from that is Dean Ambrose and the WWE. There's no reason for this not to be true. I'm not saying it is. What I am saying is, if it is, I'm going to sit back and laugh. And you guys are probably all going to have heart attacks. And does that make me an asshole? Probably. But at the end of the day, you guys created this. You guys created the potential for this to be true. That's all I got. I've been Spaz. I'm definitely your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak like me.